Derek, I was left at the end of that game thinking, man, what did I just see? Obviously, Bayern Munich losing their first home game in more than 2 years against the Paris Saint-Germain team riddled with injuries. Bayern also had people out. Two teams that absolutely went head-to-head, one against each other. We all talked about no Lewandowski. But then between the two of them, 3 defensive players substituted in the first 45 minutes. I'm not sure I've ever seen that. I'm sure I must have. This was just epic, right? From the neutral's perspective.
Yeah, epic and crazy and wild, and from a neutral point of view, brilliant. I mean, you couldn't take your eyes off it, and I think mistakes were part of that from both teams, but specifically from Bayern when you think about the goals that were conceded. Now, you would take nothing away from Mbappe, who I thought was immense. I mean, that was a star showing by a terrific player on an individual basis, but Bayern really contributed to their own demise. When you think about where the players were, that first goal and the second goal, and Manuel Neuer doing something that Manuel Neuer rarely does. But as you said, Gab, it was snowing and there were maybe extenuating circumstances. I think from the Bayern point of view, they'll look at this as a missed opportunity because they created a raft of chances. And in the Bundesliga this season, it's been worked out that they score a goal for pretty much every 5.5 attempts. So really, they should have probably scored 5 or 6 based on all of that in this game. But of course, they didn't have Robert Lewandowski, and that was to their detriment. And it just for once didn't happen in front of goal enough for Bayern for them to win the first leg.
Bayern played great, and you cannot hide from the fact that they were very, very dominant, that their press was so good, so effective, so just ruthless all the time. They just never stopped. They're such a machine. And I think they deserve a lot of credit because they faced a Navas who was on fire once again, who's been so good this season. They highline, as we expected, struggle against Mbappe and that pace, and that's why he plays centrally, and Neymar was on a good day too. So PSG deserves some credit for the way they approached the game and how efficient they were. But on another day, Bayern could have won that game 5-2, 6-2 even. So I thought it was brilliant. And like Derek tweeted after the game, he tweeted the quotes from Hansi Flick on Sky Germany after the game saying, I'm happy at the way we played. I cannot not be happy. Okay, we lost the game, but if we play like this in the second leg, we will have a big chance to go through, which I think is fair.
This is the thing that gets me because Bayern, I mean, we saw them obviously against Leipzig, and that was kind of emergency Bayern, maximum result, minimum effort type Bayern. I thought a draw would have been a fair result in that game. For stretches, they were outplayed. I'm just struck by how they kind of flip the switch and come out with a completely different mindset and mentality in this game, Derek.
Yeah, and that struck me too, that against Leipzig, it was winning ugly and doing what you had to do and getting the result. This time, again, a different sort of team in Paris Saint-Germain. And I do think in a funny kind of way that the weather was part of the story. I think that, snow in April, okay, you can have snow in April in Munich, but not that often and not like that. And I think that contributed to the mistakes. And I think once you get behind in a big game like that, as Bayern did in the 3rd minute, and then you fall further behind, you are chasing. You're in this sort of different mindset. You can't always be calm about how you go about your business. And, as Julien said, it was a terrific spectacle, and it was a good performance. And I think Flick is right in that. I think he's right to say that with that brand of football, you're entitled to be happy. You're not entitled to be happy about the lack of defensive resilience. But, we made the point already that, in a game, you are losing these key players. You are losing Goretzka. You are losing Zule. You're watching these players go off, and Flick said after the game, he said the squad is now getting ever thinner. He's got to acknowledge that. Heavens knows who'll be available come the second leg.
Mark
but if you have that, and that's a problem for Bayern. I mean, we know that the squad was already a little bit thin in terms of players to come in and actually be effective backups. And so, we'll find out to what extent that'll be necessary in Paris.
Jules, one thing that I think nobody can ever level against Kylian Mbappe, who scored 2 goals, is that we always use superstars. Oh, but does he do it in big games? I don't know if he can do it in a cold, windy night in Stoke, but he can certainly do it in big games. After performance against Barcelona, after this, I think he might have scored a goal in the World Cup final as well. So he kind of does it in big games, yeah?
I heard people saying that he didn't, though. On some channels, some coverage in some countries last night. He doesn't always do in big games, but when he does, that's 6 goals in his last 3 Champions League matches, the 2 Barca game and this one. And like Derek said, it's not always good when he plays up front on his own, but when he's in that kind of form and that kind of PSG performance, he's amazing.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.